Somewhere over the middle of the ocean, a plane soars above a naval aircraft carrier. The plane touches down on the carrier as our protagonist, radiating a powerful aura, watches it land. Stepping off the aircraft, he's greeted by the elite warriors of the Dragon God Hall. All on one knee, showing their respect, they shout that everything is ready. Then the god of war, Yifeng, gives the order for everyone to return to the city of Jiangdu. And just like that, the plane takes off, escorted by an entire fleet of fighter jets. Now inside the plane, Yifeng looks at a photo on his phone and wonders what the heck is going on. The photo shows Su Yun with a mysterious man, and Yifeng has absolutely no idea who he is. We're then whisked away to Jiangdu International Airport. Su Yun and her fiancé, Wang Chen, are there, and he's impressed by the fighter jets in the sky. Su Yun asks how he knows that escort is for his cousin. Wang Chen explains that his relative comes from the prestigious Lin family, a giant in the military world. He brags, saying his cousin is a massive talent, and an escort like this is totally normal for someone of his stature. His expression shifts, and he mutters a nasty insult under his breath, telling her to drop the innocent act. In his thoughts, he finishes by threatening that he'll make her pay after the engagement ceremony. With a smile back on his face, Wang Chen spots his cousin arriving at the airport. He then introduces his fiancée, Su Yun, to his relative, who mentally compliments her beauty. Wang Chen then congratulates his cousin on having an escort of 6 fighter jets. Su Yun is left completely speechless. The person who stepped off the plane was actually our protagonist, who had stolen everyone's attention. Her fiancé recognizes him, calling him the useless coward who vanished for 5 years. Surprised, his cousin now understands the reason for such a grand escort. Because Yifeng is the legendary god of war, to whom warriors from all nations bow. Standing there, our hero radiated an imposing and terrifying presence. Chen then yells at Su Yun, saying that Yifeng abandoned her in the past. Through her tears, Su Yun whispers our protagonist's name. She thinks he really did abandon her, so she turns and tries to run away. With a smirk, Wang Chen's cousin turns to speak with Yifeng. He bows to our guy, paying his respects and calling him Lord Ye. Our protagonist just gives him a cold stare and says he's mistaken. The cousin realizes Lord Ye's identity must be kept secret and quickly corrects himself, breaking into a cold sweat when he realizes his screw up. He apologizes for the mistake, but Wang Chen scoffs, saying he knew his cousin couldn't possibly know such a loser. Out of patience, the relative slaps Wang Chen so hard across the face that it makes him bleed. Confused, he asks why he got hit, and his cousin yells that the Lin family has cut all ties with him. Now inside a luxury car, our hero receives a report from his assistant. She explains that the Su family fell from grace while the Wang family rose to power. Our protagonist reveals he left to save her father, and the Wang family stole the credit. His assistant says she investigated Su Yun and mentions that Wang Chen hired a hidden master to treat her. She asks where they are going, and Yifeng says he's going to visit his parents' grave. But upon arriving at the cemetery, they find his parents' headstone completely smashed. The photos on the headstone were also broken into several pieces, showing the utter disrespect. To make matters worse, the urns with their remains had been completely desecrated. Our hero and his subordinate are completely horrified by the terrible scene. Filled with rage, our protagonist blames himself for letting his parents suffer this humiliation. His anger is so intense that he clenches his fist hard enough to draw blood. Yifeng shouts furiously, ordering them to find out who did this, because this is a grudge that can't be settled. Is so overwhelming that Yifeng ends up coughing up blood. His assistant catches him as he faints, panicking at the situation. She immediately calls the Dragon God Hall and informs them that the tomes have been desecrated and their master has fallen into a coma. She swears that no matter who the enemy is, the Dragon God Hall will hunt them to the ends of the earth. Meanwhile, a heavy rain falls over Jiangdu International Airport. The supreme commander of the region, Li Jianguan, is worried because all the warriors from the hall have arrived. He then comes face to face with some massive warriors. One of the warriors glares at him with a cold, serious expression. The commander then asks Black Dragon the reason for such a massive mobilization. Black Dragon grabs him angrily and yells that Lord Yi's parents' tombs were desecrated. With a war cry, all the warriors prepare to settle the score, while the commander stands there in shock. The Black Dragon throws Li Jianguan to the ground and warns him that this is a blood feud for the hall. Another warrior advises him to stay out of it, and the commander says he won't interfere and will even help. Watching the warriors depart, he thinks that the city of Jiangdu is about to be turned upside down. At an entertainment club, a young master named Chen is throwing a party. A woman asks what they're celebrating, and he reveals he got paid 50 million just to desecrate a grave. He brags that he took a picture and got a bonus of another 100 million from the investor. His guests suck up to him, calling him a genius and an idol for his completely disrespectful act. The young master then promises to give a cash gift to everyone at the party. But the celebration is cut short when our protagonist and his subordinates crash the party. The guests are stunned by their arrival and ask who let them in. One of Yifeng's warriors slams his blade into the table, while Yifeng gives him 1 minute to say who hired him. The young master tries to act tough, saying a knife doesn't scare him. The warrior then quickly pulls the blade out of the table. To prove he wasn't playing around, the warrior stabs the blade right through the man's leg. At this, all the guests panic and try to flee, screaming for help. The desperate young master confesses that it was Wang Chen who sent him to do it. Our hero asks where the ashes are, and he reveals he sent them to Wang Chen. Black Dragon asks to keep him alive for 5 minutes, and our guy allows it as the young master begs for mercy. At the Wang family mansion, a grand party is underway as the host announces the arrival of a special guest. One of the guests asks who the guest of honor is, and the host proudly reveals it's Lin Yanjiang from the capital. All the guests are stunned, as the Lin family is the #1 corporation in the nation. The head of the Wang family thinks that with this support, his family will become the most powerful in Jiangdu. Outside the mansion, Chairman Wang receives the guest of honor who has just arrived. The important guest and his nephew just walk past the chairman without a care. But as he invites them in, he's surprised by the arrival of our protagonist. Wang Chen is completely terrified to see Yifeng standing right in front of him. Our hero then coldly orders Wang Chen to kneel and receive his punishment. Wang Chen offers 5 million to whoever ends Yifeng's life, and his security guards move in. Our protagonist's men waste no time and defeat all the guards with extreme ease. Chen is speechless, seeing all his men taken down in seconds. With no other choice, a scared Wang Chen threatens our guy, saying that offending the Wang family is the same as offending the Lins. With a smirk on his face, our protagonist doesn't seem the least bit intimidated by the threat. To everyone's surprise, the members of the Lin family bow and greet Yifeng as their lord. The two are completely shell-shocked, and Wang Chen's father wonders how it's possible that Yifeng knows the Lin family. Our protagonist, with a smile on his face, says that they meet again. Lin Yanjiang introduces himself and explains that his father sent him to follow his lord's orders. Our hero tells him to send his regards to Elder Lin when he returns home. Yifeng then gives the order for Black Dragon to clear the area, and he starts kicking out all the guests. Wang Chen yells at his uncle, saying Yifeng is a nobody and that he shouldn't be fooled. In the blink of an eye, Black Dragon rushes toward him with incredible speed, and with a single punch to the face, he sends Wang Chen flying. His father screams in despair, seeing his son thrown to the ground with such force. Wang Songyuan holds his son and begs Lin Yanjiang to do something about Yifeng. Lin Yanjiang confronts him and makes it clear that the Lin family will get involved in this matter. The old Wang threatens to call the elder, but Yanjiang doesn't care. So, he takes out his phone and calls his contact in the Lin family to resolve the situation. Meanwhile, our protagonist just watches everything calmly. On the call, he complains to his second uncle that his nephew has teamed up with a stranger to cause trouble. On the phone, the uncle tells Yanjiang to apologize, but he says he's only following his father's orders after mentioning Yifeng. Then, the uncle flips out on Wang Songyuan, yelling that he has offended someone that not even the Lin family can provoke. Our protagonist, sitting in a chair, asks if he's done with his call yet. Wang Chen's father is in shock, realizing that a nobody has become an untouchable figure. Choice, he and his son kneel and call off the engagement, begging for mercy. Lying on the ground, Wang Chen swears revenge while his father offers any woman for them to survive. Yifeng, with a dark smile, asks why he should let them live. Old man Wang tells him not to go too far, but Yifeng demands he return his parents' ashes. Black Dragon yells that he desecrated the graves and that not even the King of Heaven can save him now. Shocked by the truth, Wang Songyuan slaps his son for doing something so terrible. Seeing how serious the situation was, Lin Yanjiang kneels before our hero. He pleads for him to spare the young man and offers all the Wang family's wealth as payment. Our protagonist asks if he thinks he needs money, and the old man panics. The father grabs his own son by the collar, calling him a beast for his actions. He then screams, demanding to know where the ashes are. Wang Songyuan tries to make a deal with our protagonist, asking him to spare them. Our hero questions if he really thinks he has any right to negotiate with him. The man reveals that the matter is related to the truth behind the passing of our guy's parents. With his fist clenched in anger, our protagonist shatters the armrest of the chair he was sitting on. Standing up with a terrifying aura, Yifeng yells for him to start talking immediately. The old man hesitates because he hasn't agreed to his condition yet, but our hero promises he won't end his life. He explains that 5 years ago, an old man made a bet that the Yi family would be destroyed within a month. Our protagonist asks what this mysterious old man looked like. Wang Songyuan describes him as a tall man with white hair and a necklace of red beads. Hearing the description, our guy recognizes the man and clenches his fist even tighter, making it bleed again. He becomes furious and wonders why, of all the people in the world, it had to be that guy. A powerful aura explodes from Yifeng as Black Dragon asks if he knows him. Our hero tells him to shut up and orders the old man to continue the story immediately. He mentions the Ye family's clinic and how they were famous and highly respected doctors in the city. But soon after, Yifeng's father was accused of selling fake medicine and was almost arrested. The old man says the mysterious man neither admitted nor denied guilt, only saying that everything was predestined. He continues, explaining that the old man cured Sumuzi but gave him all the credit to get closer to the Su family. Yifeng picks up a note and comments that the passing of our hero's parents must be connected to this old man. The note says to deliver the ashes to a specific location. Our protagonist recognizes the handwriting and furiously asks where that old man is. Holding his son, Wang Sonyuan says he doesn't know and begs our hero not to hurt them. Our guy turns and orders Black Dragon to handle the rest of the situation. With a wicked smile and a knife in his hand, Black Dragon gladly accepts the order. The old man screams in desperation that Yifeng promised not to end their lives. Our hero replies that he did indeed say that, but he never said anything about his subordinates. Alone, he wonders if that old man was the true culprit behind his family's downfall. His assistant comes running and informs him that Sumuzi has been hospitalized and his wife is with him. Without wasting a moment, our protagonist decides to head to the hospital immediately. So, we arrive at the hospital. Inside, Suyun asks the doctor about her father's condition, and he says it's extremely critical. Dr. Yang, with a strange smile, informs her that he's going to issue a critical condition notice for her father. Desperate, Suyun begs him to save him, but the doctor says only the hospital director can treat him. He approaches with a sleazy grin and says he won't do the favor for free, and she asks for the price. The doctor then reveals he doesn't want money, and that he actually has a thing for beautiful women like her. Out of the proposition, Suyun slaps him across the face, calling him scum. Furious, the doctor shouts that she dared to hit him, and that it's an assault on a doctor. Dr. Yang then grabs her wrist tightly. He threatens her, saying he'll call the disciplinary committee, and that she'll go straight to jail. But at that moment, our protagonist appears and blocks the doctor's path with his hand. Our hero asks who dares to send his wife to jail. Suyun is surprised to see Yifeng standing right in front of her again. The doctor complains to our guy, saying she assaulted him and should be arrested for it. With a cold glare, our protagonist states that his wife never hits anyone without a good reason. Lying in the bed, her father points at Dr. Yang with an expression of rage. He then yells with all his might that the doctor is actually a beast. Suyun helps her father sit up in bed, and he reveals the doctor's blackmail. He continues, saying the doctor used his life to try and take advantage of his daughter. With eyes red with rage, Yifeng says the doctor is asking for a dirt nap. Frightened by our guy's aura, Dr. Yang asks what he's going to do. Without a second thought, our hero lands a powerful kick right in the doctor's face. The impact is so strong that the man goes flying and slams into the room's door. Lying on the floor, the doctor is stunned by the force of that attack. He tries to threaten our guy, saying his father is the city's second in command. With a smirk, our protagonist steps on him and says they'll see who has the worse ending. He then presses his foot harder on the doctor's chest without an ounce of pity. In that moment, a scream of pain echoes throughout the hospital building, startling everyone. Some doctors find the man on the floor and decide to take him to the ER. Our hero's assistant asks if she should handle the situation that just unfolded. But suddenly, Suyun's father starts to feel unwell, and she screams, worried about him. Desperate, Suyun begs her father not to scare her as he seems to be losing consciousness. Our hero takes control and asks his assistant, Xiaoding, to close the door because he's going to perform acupuncture. Xiaoding promptly obeys the order and closes the hospital room door so no one can enter. Outside, a younger doctor reports to the director that the situation has escalated to an attempted murder. The furious director says the culprit must be severely punished to maintain the profession's respect. However, upon reaching the door and peeking through the window, the hospital director is completely astonished. He sees our protagonist applying acupuncture to the patient while the two women watch. With extraordinary skill, Yifeng uses legendary acupuncture techniques with the needles. Suyun's father, who was on the verge of his final nap, miraculously begins to recover from the treatment. The director's jaw drops as he recognizes the technique as the legendary and lost Tei divine needle. The other doctor suggests breaking down the door, but the director stops him immediately. With a shout, he tells everyone to be quiet and step back so they don't disturb the procedure. Thinking the director has lost his mind, the younger doctor decides to call Dr. Yang's father. On the call, he tells him about the incident, and the doctor's furious father says he's on his way to the hospital. Meanwhile, our protagonist continues the treatment, sweating from concentration. Suyun looks at Yifeng and his assistant with a jealous glare and asks who that woman wiping his sweat is. Our protagonist notices Suyun's jealousy and thinks that she's always had feelings for him. Finishing the treatment, he begins to remove the needles one by one, very carefully. He informs Suyun that her father is out of danger and asks Xiaoding to open the door. As soon as the door opens, the hospital director rushes into the room in a fluster. Without hesitation, the director kneels before our hero and begs to be his apprentice. The other doctors' mouths hang open, seeing their usually confident boss humbling himself like that. Our guy just looks down at the director with a serious expression. Desperate, the director grabs our protagonist's leg, pleading to be accepted. The hospital staff are completely frozen, not understanding what's happening. The younger doctor who was with him breaks into a cold sweat, unsure of what to do. Our protagonist continues to look at the director with an indifferent expression. The director, on the other hand, looks at our hero with eyes shining with admiration. With a smile, Yifeng finally helps the director up from the floor. At that moment, Dr. Yang's parents arrive and find their son on the floor, beaten up. His father shouts furiously, demanding to know who did that to his son. The previous doctor points to our hero's group, accusing them of beating up his son. Dr. Yang's father then yells at the hospital director, demanding an explanation. The beaten doctor's furious mother rushes at the protagonist to hit him. Jung is one step ahead, and lands a powerful kick on the nasty old hag. Dr. Yang's father is completely shocked that they hit his wife. But Dr. Yang's father had already called the guards to deal with Yifeng. Yang's father orders the armed guards to deal with the protagonist immediately. Furious, Yifeng yells at the guards, asking if they really dare to do anything. Xiaoding quickly calls the old man arrogant for using his position as governor to intimidate people, and threatens to invade the city with her powerful Qun family. The governor is surprised after Xiaoding says she's part of the Qun family. But the governor's frustrated wife doesn't back down and demands justice for her son. Completely blinded by fury, he yells at his men to act. The guards then draw their weapons and aim. But a determined Su Yun steps in front of Yifeng, resolved not to let him perish. With a smile, our hero takes Su Yun's hand and reassures her. With the gun still aimed, Xiaoding again threatens the governor for crossing the line. But completely out of his mind, the governor is determined to finish the protagonist, even with the powerful Qun family potentially retaliating later. He then raises his hand, ordering his team to move. But suddenly, heavy footsteps can be heard in the hallways. The men of the Dragon God Hall arrive to back up Yifeng. Surprised by the presence of the Dragon God Hall, the governor is terrified of that death squad being there. He asks if the man called Yifeng Dragon Lord. But our hero says he must have misheard. The subordinate apologizes to the Dragon Lord, while our protagonist calls him a fool for accidentally revealing his identity. The governor finally understands that Yifeng is a super, powerful figure that not even the capital's families dare to offend. Desperate, he yells for his guards to lower their weapons immediately before it's too late. His wife doesn't understand the situation and yells that they should arrest everyone immediately. Out of patience, he slaps her across the face and tells her to shut up so she doesn't ruin the family. He turns to our hero and apologizes, saying his son deserved the beating he got. Our protagonist stares at him coldly and asks what laws are for if an apology could solve everything. On his knees, the governor begs for our hero to spare his life, saying he messed up big time. Our protagonist then turns and tells Xiaoding to handle this matter her way. With a smile, she approaches the old man and says she will investigate all of his actions in the city. The governor falls into total despair, knowing his life and career are over. One of the Dragon God Hall's men asks what they should do with the beaten doctor. Our hero says he won't interfere, while the director suspends the doctor from his duties. Yifeng then asks the director to take care of his father-in-law, who should wake up the next day. The director assures our guy that he will provide the best nursing care. Seeing how tired she is, Yifeng offers to take Su Yun home so she can get some rest. Shortly after, our protagonist and his assistant leave the hospital. Back at home, Su Yun gets a call and asks what it means that the Wang family is finished. On the call, her friend teases her, telling her to stop dreaming about marrying into that family. She reflects that she almost became a phoenix, but Yifeng's return and the Wang's downfall are too much of a coincidence. The scene then shifts to the front of the Grand Su family mansion. Su Yun watches a luxury car approaching her home's gate. On the call, her friend says she's coming to visit to introduce her new boyfriend and mock her. But our protagonist arrives by surprise the next morning, bringing her breakfast. At that moment, a luxury car stops, and a blonde woman in a pink dress gets out. The woman gets jealous seeing our hero with Su Yun, wondering why she attracts so many men. She then accuses her of being desperate for having already found a new man. Yifeng doesn't like the taunt and gives her a rude reply, leaving her shocked. Su Yun is amused and surprised by our hero's way with words. The irritated blonde complains that her boyfriend can't take a simple joke. Without hesitation, our guy insults her right back, criticizing her revealing dress. Yifeng asks if she can't take a joke either, and Su Yun is impressed by his attitude. The woman calls her boyfriend Dallin to meet her best friend. Then a man with glasses and red hair appears with a surprised look on his face. The guy is completely mesmerized by Su Yun's beauty, calling her a fairy. Her friend scolds him for just standing there, and he asks her to introduce them. Smile, she introduces Soo-yun and mocks her for finding a new target. Soo-yun gets annoyed, understanding that her friend is accusing her of changing boyfriends like she changes clothes. With a smirk, our protagonist recognizes the car and asks if that vehicle is really his. The couple gets defensive, and the blonde accuses him of being jealous because he can't afford a car like that. Our guy insults him, saying he has no class and just hates the rich. But Soo-yun defends him, stating that she believes in Yi Feng and that the car doesn't belong to her friend's boyfriend. Our hero smiles, seeing that she still protects him the same way she did 5 years ago. Furious, the blonde points at Soo-yun and threatens to tell all her friends about her. But before she could do anything, the loud sound of a slap echoes through the place. In a swift move, our protagonist slaps the woman across the face to defend Soo-yun. The force of the blow sends the blonde to the ground, completely dazed by what happened. With a cold glare, Yi Feng warns her that if she doesn't watch her mouth, he'll tear it off himself. The woman is terrified of our guy and starts to tremble with fear. Just then, another luxury car arrives and stops right in front of the mansion. To everyone's surprise, the person who gets out of the car is Xiaoting, who asks if he's taking his wife shopping. She then looks at the couple's vehicle and realizes that it's actually her car. Xiaoting comments that it was the car she used to pick him up from the airport and wonders how it got there since she had sent it for repairs. Our protagonist points to the guy and says he claimed to be the owner of the vehicle. Angrily, the assistant takes out her phone and says she's going to call the workshop to understand the situation. The man kneels desperately and begs her not to call, confessing that he took the car to show off. The blonde yells at him, asking about his manager position, and he reveals he's just a mechanic. Furious with the lie, the woman attacks him, calling him trash for deceiving her. The mechanic defends himself, saying she's a gold digger, which is why she was so easy to fool. Soo-yun watches them and thinks that those who insult others end up being insulted in the end. Our guy then orders the inspection team to take the annoying couple away. As they are being led away, one of the guards informs him that they have a lead on the old man he's looking for. Yi Feng asks where he is, and the guard says he might be hiding in a temple on Lingu Peak. Our protagonist gets irritated and shouts that he doesn't want a preliminary assessment. His assistant asks for another hour, but he gives her only 20 minutes to get an answer. She thinks that 5 years ago he was a doormat's son, in law, but now he has become a king. A short while later, Xiaoting returns and confirms that Black Dragon has surrounded the temple where the old man is. Soo-yun asks who the old man he's looking for is, and our hero replies that he's just an acquaintance. He then gets into the car and asks his assistant to take Soo-yun to the hospital later. As the car drives away, Soo-yun wonders what he has been doing for the past 5 years. Xiaoting reveals that when our protagonist left, it was all because of her, and Soo-yun is shocked. She explains that her father was diagnosed with cancer, and the old man offered a cure in exchange for a deal. But when Soo-yun asks about the deal, a car violently crashes into another right in front of them. The two are surprised by the crash and the smoke coming from one of the cars. Suddenly, an old man in traditional clothes gets out of one of the vehicles. Xiaoting is stunned to recognize him while Soo-yun remains clueless. In the blink of an eye, the old man rushes towards the assistant with absurd speed. Both of them are completely paralyzed with fear. Meanwhile, at the Lingu Peak Temple, our hero asks if the old man is still there, and his man confirms it. Our protagonist then orders all his warriors to wait outside. But he says that even with everyone's help, the old man could still end his life easily. So he enters the temple alone while his subordinate just watches. The subordinate shouts that even if it costs them their lives, they must protect the Dragon Lord. Inside the temple, our hero finds the old man and asks how he's been after all this time. Our guy is completely shocked to see his master's true condition. Desperately and shouts, calling the old man, Master. Our protagonist says he will save him with his Tei divine needle, which can bring people back from the brink. But the master stops him and reveals that his heart veins have been severed, and not even he can save himself. Filled with hatred, Yi Feng asks who hurt him, but the old man says he's not yet a match for the enemy. He explains that medicine is divided into two factions, the divine physician and the ghost physician. The master reveals that the Yi family was destroyed for being the successors of the ghost physician faction. He says that our hero's father used his skills to save someone, and that's how he was discovered. Our guy then questions why he took his parents' ashes, but the master denies everything. The old man calls up blood and says he came because he heard the rival faction was coming to hunt our guy. Desperate, our protagonist shouts that his master cannot pass away, no matter what. The master says his time has come and takes a necklace of red beads from inside his clothes. He hands the treasure to our hero and says that he is the last here, who bears a great responsibility. With his last words, the master says his only regret is not being able to protect our hero anymore. On his knees, our protagonist holds his master's lifeless body, completely devastated. His cry of pain echoes throughout the temple, and his subordinates rush in to see what happened. When they arrive, they find the Dragon Lord in mourning and ask for his orders, ready to act. Our hero feels guilty, thinking his master was a hero who ruined his life because of him. He stands up and decides to bury his master right there, amidst the mountains and rivers of that place. But in this moment of grief, his cell phone suddenly starts to ring. On the screen, the name of a woman named Lan appears, catching his attention. Answering the call, he hears that he has only 20 minutes to get to the Su family mansion. Furious, he realizes the person on the line is the same one who destroyed his family and is now threatening Su Yun. Without wasting time, our protagonist asks for a military knife from one of his men. He knows the enemy is ruthless and races against time to save the people he loves. He then leaps off a cliff in front of his men, who shout his title in shock. With precision, he sticks the knife into the rock wall to support himself. Our guy uses his knife as a foothold. Then we see the luxurious Su family mansion, where danger is approaching. There, a henchman with a torch in his hand was waiting for him and comments on his punctuality. But with no time for talk, our hero charges forward and lands a powerful punch to the enemy's face. The impact is so strong that the man goes flying and crashes to the ground, kicking up dust. Radiating a terrifying aura, Yi Feng says he's too weak and tells him to call his master. Lying on the ground, the henchman explains that his master has already left and sent him to deliver something. He points to a jeep and says the mysterious item is inside the vehicle's trunk. Next to the car is a wooden box that was left for our protagonist. The delivery guy asks if he can leave, but our guy says he's not going anywhere. Ye Feng asks about his friends, and the man points to the mansion, assuring him they are fine. Looking inside, he sees Su Yun and Xiaoting passed out but thankfully unharmed and breathing. Offers to carry them, but our hero tells him to get lost immediately. With his cell phone, Yi Feng calls Black Dragon and orders him to track the delivery guy's car. Shortly after, he approaches the wooden box to see what's inside. Upon opening the box, our protagonist is completely shocked and wonders what it is. Inside the box, he finds several old toys he received from his parents as a child. Rummaging through the objects, he finds something wrapped in a cloth at the bottom of the box. Our protagonist realizes that the object is actually the urn with his parents' ashes. But to his surprise, when he looks inside the container, he discovers that the urn is empty. He notices that the urns were never used and wonders if his parents might still be alive. At that moment, his assistant Xiaoting finally wakes up and calls out to him. She runs to him and tells him that the man who attacked them looked identical to the photo of his father on the tombstone. Our hero questions why his father would pose as his master and help the Wang family. Xiaoting then asks if there's a possibility that his parents are still alive. He remembers being devastated at the time, and that it was their friends who took care of everything. His assistant suggests finding these people to uncover the truth about that year. Our protagonist agrees with the idea and tells her to take care of it immediately. Shortly after, he approaches Su Yun to finally wake her up. She opens her eyes and is relieved to see he's back, holding her in his arms. He calms her down and asks if she saw the man's face, but she says she was knocked out and asks about Xiaoting. Our hero says Xiaoting is fine and that he's now going with her to the hospital to see her father. On the way, Su Yun mentions that her mother got angry and went to her grandfather's house in Jiangbei. Our protagonist promises that the next day they will go get her mother to reunite the family. With that, the two arrive at the hospital for the visit. Xiaoting reveals that most of the people from the funeral have passed away and only one is left in Jiangbei. He then gives her 3 days to confirm the survivor's identity. Our guy thinks the rival faction might have faked his parents passing as part of a plan. His assistant agrees because it wouldn't make sense to eliminate the witnesses if they were alive. Our hero says that with medicine, it's easy to change someone's appearance to deceive him. That's why he decides the person in Jiangbei is the key, and he needs to go there now. But Su Yun interrupts him and asks about a call from the hospital director. She says the case must be serious and encourages him to go quickly since it's an emergency. He then asks Xiaoting to take her to Jiangbei and promises to pick her up after saving the patient. Our protagonist then says goodbye and reminds his assistant to take good care of Su Yun. And just like that, our hero gets in his car and sets off on his new mission. Arriving at the hospital, Director Liu greets him, thanking him for his help in the emergency. However, an older doctor glares at him with disdain, thinking the whole reception is an overreaction. They then hurry to the intensive care unit where the patient is. The director explains that the man had a heart attack and his organs are failing because of it. Our protagonist approaches the bed and says he will do his best to save his life. But the doctor from before interrupts and scoffs at him for not guaranteeing the patient's full recovery. Annoyed by the attitude, Director Liu yells at his colleague and demands he show more respect. Another doctor tries to calm things down, saying his colleague is just an honest person. With a smirk, our hero says he's not his father and that his lack of manners isn't his problem. Doctor, named Ding Hua, gets angry at the response and demands he explain himself immediately. Our guy then taunts him and tells the doctor to just call him Dad. He explains that since he's not his father, he has no obligation to care about him. The director loses his patience and yells for Ding Hua to shut up or leave the room right now. Ignoring the commotion, our protagonist opens his case and prepares his silver needles. The older doctor is impressed by the beauty and quality of the needles. Ding Hua mocks Chinese medicine and bets he'll eat the needles if our hero cures the patient. With a smirk, Yifeng tells him to remember his words as an aura envelopes his hand. He then touches the needles, preparing to start the medical procedure. In an instant, the silver needles begin to float around him, controlled by his energy. With a swift and precise movement, our protagonist launches the needles toward the patient. The needles hit the man in vital points and begin to glow with a green light. Suddenly, the unconscious patient opens his eyes and begins to breathe with difficulty. The other doctor's jaws drop as he woke the patient with just 3 needles. Furthermore, they notice that the man's appearance has greatly improved in just a few seconds. The older doctor, however, still doubts, saying it's just a superficial stimulant. But he is shocked to realize that our hero is using his Q to control the needles. Our guy continues the treatment, applying more needles with incredible speed and precision. The doctors now understand why the director was so excited about our hero's arrival. Patient finally regains consciousness, and our protagonist asks if he takes diet pills. Surprised, the man confirms it, and our hero warns him to stop because they almost ended his life. Our hero then prescribes medicine for the patient and says he will recover in 5 days. The patient is very grateful because the hospital couldn't find the cause, but our guy did. With a victorious smirk, our protagonist turns and reminds Dr. Ding of the bet he made. Ding Hua tries to back out of the bet, but the director yells furiously and tells him to apologize immediately. But our hero dismisses the request and compares him to a dog, saying he won't bite back. He then says goodbye to Director Liu and leaves, since the patient is stable and out of danger. Furious, Dr. Ding swears he won't just take this humiliation and that he will get his revenge. At that moment, he receives a call from someone offering to help him take down Yifeng. In a luxury hotel, Black Dragon reports that the box delivery guy has vanished off the radar. He then hands over a file with the information about the person in Jiangbei that our hero requested. Reading the file, our protagonist is surprised by that person's current identity. Black Dragon suggests kidnapping the target, but our hero rejects the plan immediately. Our guy realizes that if the only person who knows the truth dies, his parents' case will never be solved. He then whispers his new plan to Black Dragon, who seems a bit hesitant about the idea. Our hero says the bigger the scene, the better, because that way he won't raise the villain's suspicions. Black Dragon praises his master's plan, Han calling it brilliant and the best strategy of all. Our hero tells him to stop sucking up and says for Xiaoding and the Qun family to create the right moment. The next day, outside the hotel, our protagonist is surrounded by an armed patrol. One of the officers introduces himself as being from the Jianghan City Patrol and says he can ask questions. Our guy then questions what law he could have broken to be arrested in such a manner. The officer then asks if he really treated a patient at the hospital the day before. He reveals that the patient has passed away and that the death is linked to our hero's treatment. With that, all the officers surround him and say they are taking him to the station for investigation. Our protagonist is surprised and realizes it's impossible unless someone set him up. He then reaches for his phone, but the officer yells furiously, telling him to drop it on the ground. But with a cold glare, our hero asks if the officer is trying to teach him how to do things. The officer is terrified by the frightening pressure emanating from our protagonist. Ignoring everyone, Yifeng answers his phone, and the hospital director tells him that the patient has passed. Our hero says he already knows and that the patrol is there to arrest him. With a smirk, he hangs up the phone and tells the officer not to worry, as he will handle it. With a smile, our hero says he'll go with them, but warns them. It's easy to invite a god, but much harder to send one away. Meanwhile, in the health director's office, Director Jiang is questioned about the commotion and the broken cameras. Nervous, Director Jiang says he doesn't know what happened and that our hero cured the patient. The health chief then recalls that Dr. Ding investigated Yifeng and found out he doesn't have a license. He yells at the director for his negligence, but Jiang defends himself, saying he wasn't the one who invited him. Suddenly, the director remembers that our hero prescribed medicine and throws the blame on Chinese medicine. The health chief then orders a full investigation and requests the autopsy results immediately. Now at the station, our protagonist waits calmly, tied to a chair in a dark room. Then 2 men enter the room, and one of them announces he has an unexpected visitor. With a smirk, our guy recognizes the delivery man and says he knew he would come to see him. He explains that he wouldn't have let himself be caught if he hadn't anticipated this meeting. In a swift move, our protagonist breaks his restraints and calls the henchman stupid for coming to him. The delivery man panics as he sees our hero's hand rapidly approaching his face. Without mercy, Yifeng grabs the man's neck with impressive strength, choking him. He lifts him into the air and demands to know where the person behind everything is. But the henchman claims to be just a messenger. Furious, our protagonist pressures him and asks if he thinks he's a fool to believe that story. He then throws him forcefully to the ground without an ounce of pity. The henchman reveals that his master wants the bead necklace in exchange for our hero's freedom. He finishes by saying his master wants him to think carefully about the offer before giving an answer. Our guy finally understands that this whole setup was to get his master's necklace. He says the villain can have the necklace, as long as he comes to get it in person. The delivery man warns him to think carefully about his current situation, as he doesn't have many choices. Ye Feng questions if human life has any value to them in their plans. He then says the one who wants to end his life isn't his master and sends him away. Our protagonist deduces that the person behind all this cannot possibly be his father. He understands that the villain only let Xiaoding see him so he wouldn't be exposed by Su Yun. At the hospital, Director Liu complains that they are focusing on the autopsy and not the broken cameras. The report reveals the cause of death was poisoning, and the drug found was musk. A doctor seizes the opportunity and accuses our hero, since musk was on his prescription. Director Liu yells at his colleague, accusing him of slander and saying he won't escape responsibility. The rival doctor, with a malicious smile, says the case has already hit the press and the public is furious. In a phone call, Dr. Dinghua is surprised by the case's repercussions and how it ended up harming our hero. The news spreads, accusing our guy of practicing medicine without a license and not caring about human life. With his feet on the desk, the rival doctor celebrates and boasts about his victory against our protagonist. But suddenly, he hears a strange noise, and his joyful expression turns to one of complete shock. Through the hospital corridors, several doctors run in desperation, completely terrified. Outside, heavily armed soldiers invade the hospital, running in formation. An entire fleet of tanks and military personnel completely surrounds the hospital building, leaving everyone in shock. Scared, Director Jiang asks what's happening, but Dr. Dinghua has no idea either. Suddenly, someone slams their fist on the table. In a meeting room, a man yells furiously at his subordinates, calling them incompetent. One of the men asks Commander Lai what happened, and he angrily replies about the news. The commander yells that the city is about to face a catastrophe because of their incompetence. He finishes by saying that not even he is qualified enough to tie our hero's shoes. The man becomes worried and realizes something is very wrong, as the commander was extremely agitated about the case. The commander asks where they locked up our hero, and the man replies that he's at the inspection department. Furious, the commander tells them to summon this Ding Qushin guy, and says they are heading there right now. Arriving at the interrogation room, Commander Li introduces himself as the Supreme Commander of the Southern region. Our protagonist, looking sleepy, just yawns. Nervous, the commander says he wouldn't dare accept such a title and asks him to just call him Little Li. He bows humbly and says he came to get him out of there, but our guy asks, to where? The commander then asks where he would like to go, and our hero relaxes in his chair, saying he wants to stay. Ye Feng comments that he's a culprit now, and is just waiting to receive his sentence. The commander panics and says he wouldn't dare sentence him, and that he accepts death in his place. He then yells, asking who the department director is, and an old man fearfully raises his hand. The commander grabs him and yells, asking who ordered Master Yi's arrest and if he wants to lose his job. Out of patience, he calls him useless and fires him on the spot, telling his men to drag him out. Our protagonist asks him to call the inspector who arrested him, as he should know the details. The commander then questions the inspector, who defends himself by saying he was just following orders from his superiors. Our hero asks who filed the complaint, and the inspector reveals it was a doctor named Ding Hua. With a smirk, our protagonist gives a direct order to the commander. He orders his man to bring this Ding Hua in 20 minutes, and the officer runs off to comply. Meanwhile, Dr. Ding Hua wonders why he hasn't heard any news from the officers yet. His door is kicked open violently. The patrol then storms the room and tells him to surrender immediately without hesitation. On the floor, the doctor is handcuffed and yells his uncle is the director of the health department. The officer replies that not even the provincial governor could save him from this situation. And just like that, Dr. Ding is taken to the same interrogation room as before. There, he finds his uncle and desperately screams for help to get out of this mess. The furious uncle slaps him across the face and yells that because of him, the entire family is ruined. With a bruised face, the doctor is completely shocked and doesn't understand what he did wrong. His uncle then shoves him into the interrogation room and tells him to get inside. Inside, he finds Yifeng and asks on what grounds he was arrested and what law he broke. Our hero throws a cell phone on the floor after watching some footage. In the video, Dr. Ding appears injecting poison into the patient to frame our protagonist. Shocked, the doctor wonders how that's possible, as he was sure he had erased the recording. Our protagonist tells the commander to handle the matter, and he assures him he can execute him right there. On his knees, Dr. Ding desperately pleads for his life, saying he doesn't want to die at all. Ye Feng asks if the patient wanted to die, and the doctor offers to pay any amount to the family. Our hero says a life is paid for with another, and the commander kicks the doctor, who screams in pain. The commander then orders someone to drag him out, and a guard leads him away in handcuffs. Our guy hopes the public will receive a satisfactory answer, and the commander guarantees he will complete the task. With the situation resolved, our protagonist turns and leaves while fiddling with his phone. On the call, Soo-yeon cries and asks him to come get her, as she can't stand being in that place anymore. With a determined look, our hero calms her down and promises he'll get there as fast as possible. We then arrive at the old Yang family residence, where a guard yells for them to stop. The guard points at our protagonist and tells him to leave, as this is no place for him. Ye Feng explains that his wife is the granddaughter of the homeowner and asks if he can enter or not. The guard mocks him, saying his wife must be trash just like him, and tells him to get lost. Out of patience, our hero charges forward and lands a powerful punch that sends the guard flying. The impact throws the guard far, and he hits the ground without even understanding what happened. Soon after, other men arrive, and one of them asks who he is and how he dares to cause trouble. Our hero calmly replies that he's just there to pick up his wife, Soo-yeon, and his mother-in-law. The man is surprised by the answer and mistakes him for the young Master Yuan from the capital. Ye Feng denies it, and the guy accuses him of coming on purpose to cause trouble at Soo-yeon's engagement. Our protagonist becomes absolutely furious upon discovering that the Yang family arranged an engagement for his wife. With a terrifying aura, he yells at the Yang family, but the man tries to stop him from entering the house. Our guy just yells for him to get out of the way, and the force of his voice sends him flying while he spits up blood. Meanwhile, a young man comments to his father that Miss Soo-yeon has quite the charm. The father says just a photo of her captivated young Master Yuan and asks where she is. The son says he sent for her, but since she didn't come, he'll go get her himself now. Suddenly, a woman's scream echoes through the house, telling someone named Yang Chen to let her go. We then see it's Soo-yeon being dragged by force by Yang Chen while a relative watches the scene. He complains that she made him wait, but she accuses him of using her as a tool for his promotion. Furious with her audacity, Yang Chen's father slaps Soo-yeon hard across the face. At that moment, a man comes running and announces that a guy named Ye Feng has invaded the mansion. Hearing his name, Soo-yeon and her mother run while the old man says he'll sort everything out before Master Yuan arrives. At the entrance, Soo-yeon runs towards our hero, shouting his name with great joy and relief. Without a second thought, she jumps into our protagonist's arms and hugs him tightly. Our hero then notices the red mark on her face and, with a cold glare, asks who hit her. Yang Chen's father steps forward and confesses that he was the one who hit her, challenging him to do something about it.